read my stuff and you notice there's a common thread, is that there's always some sort of offshoot character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rene Bertrand, House, Vinnie Castellini. There's always these little characters within it. So, you know, I probably know beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going to happen in between, and I know the principles, and I know what they're all about, but I do like popping in these little characters here and there that are interesting and quirky, and some are like incredibly evil, and some are nice. Like I have Esther Landsman in my latest book, and to me, I just loved her. You know, such a regal figure. And you know, I didn't know about Esther Landsman until I got about halfway in.
Well, do you feel that your books are character driven, or is it the plot that drives your books?
I'm absolutely character driven. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I love the plots. I love the stories, and some of the stories, you know, when we talk about the individual books, I could tell you the specific events or things that motivated me to write it. But it is about character. It's about these people that you feel for them. I was thinking today about character and how I describe people. I think one of my favorite descriptions of a character is a character named Brogan, who's a federal agent who's sort of over the hill, and his old way of doing things doesn't work anymore. And I described him as Willie Mays batting .211 for the 1973 Mets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this great, unbelievable, beautiful athlete, but here you are watching him just in his decline, and it's so sad because of what he once was. Mm-hmm. And that's how he feels about himself. So that's what I like. I like the characters. I like the regular emotions they go through, and a lot of what I write is about choices that people make and the consequences of those choices. But I would like to think that I create the characters well enough that it will make sense that they made that choice, and you will understand why they made that choice.
You know, you and I, in the past, we've talked about something that happens to you as an author. You've talked about this line that you cross in regards to your characters. Let's get into that just a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You know, I was saying to you once before where I remember watching, you know, if you watch an interview with an actor or an actress, and they'll talk about a role, and they will say, he did this and he did that, and I never really got that. I thought, like, how pretentious, you know? But once I started writing this, I do feel that, you know, for a while I'm one of the characters as I'm writing it. Mm-hmm. Or, when someone goes through something emotional, I am upset as I'm writing it. And, I've had times where I was crying after I write a scene, or I go back at something I wrote, and I look at it and I say, wow, that was really sad, even though I'm the one that wrote it. So it is you get so into it that, you know, like I said, with waking up at 5 in the morning, once I'm in the middle of writing, that's why I usually have to do it in the summer, because it's just, you know, it's crazy time.
So you don't write
thinking like other characters. I'm dreaming like the characters. It's fun, but you know, I'd be better off left alone for a couple of weeks in the summer when I'm going hardcore.
Well, I want to ask, the way you talked about that. You're writing, when you're writing, is that mostly summer work then, or do you have a specific time each day that you write?
No, I do. I really need, like, my style, which I don't know how this is compared to other people, but I like to think, like, I'll think about this policeman in the Central Park. Now, I'll think about this for 2 weeks, and I'll get it all sussed out and figured out, and who he is and his name and how tall he is and if he loved his mother or whatever. And then I'll get in front of the computer and I'll just, bam, and I'll write it. and like, I'll write a chapter in one day, the chapter about him in one day. So that means I need, from 8 o'clock in the morning or sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And then I come out of my little room, unshaven and cranky because I think I'm like that cop now,
Sure.
So,
John, if we have a couple minutes, what would you want to say to your readers? Is there anything specific that you have in mind that you want your readers to grasp? We know we're going to talk about the common theme and so forth that runs through your novels. But anything specific you want to say? How about to people that might be thinking about writing themselves, becoming a writer?
Yeah,
what would you say to them?
I do get asked that a lot, and people ask me, because I don't know if you could tell from the interview, I don't seem like the type of guy that's a writer, and they ask me, like, how did you get into it? And the simple answer is to say, just write, just go write. But it's more than that. I think that you have to have the confidence and the belief that you can do it. You just really do. It's so easy to say, I want to write a book, but deep down you're afraid of other people reading it or showing it to other people. And the point is, it really doesn't matter. And the other thing is, and this is guaranteed, people won't realize until they're doing it, but it will get better as you're writing it. Like with me, where I come up with things as it's going along. But if you think you have a story in your head that you think might be pretty good, then probably when you write it, it's going to be better than pretty good, because it's going to get better as you're doing it. So that really is the thing. You should just sit down and do it, and it makes your life so much more enjoyable. It really does. Having this thing, having a creative thing for you to do, my opinion, and I'll get deeper into this at another time, is it flows through your entire life. Like, since I started writing, my business has become much more successful. I think it's because every morning I wake up, I'm excited. Not only do I always, and this is a great gift if someone wants to think about writing. Here's the end game. Not only will you always have something to do, but you'll always have something you want to do, which is an absolute gift. My wife asked me, what are we going to do when we retire? I said, well, I'm going to write. I don't care if no one ever reads anything anymore. I'm going to write my stories because I love doing it.
So it's not for you. John, I was just going to mention that it's not work at all for you. It's like a fun pastime for you.
Yeah, and now, as you can see, it's something I have to do, or else I'll keep waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So now it's become part of me. It's what I do. I'm a writer, and there's a line in I just thought of in Fill the Dreams. James Earl Jones, when Kevin Costner said, "So you're going to write about this?" and he goes, "That's what I do." And that's how it is sometimes. It's what I do. I have to do it. So.
Okay. Well, John, we're going to take a short break. Before we do, I want to remind the listeners to be sure to tune in to the International Radio Book Tour with John-Nuckel on June 16th. We'll have an in-depth preview of his first book, The Vig, with a dramatic reading from the book. And now we'll take a short commercial break, but we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Casey Kane, 2004 NASCAR Rookie of the Year, and a volunteer. Volunteering is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. You learn things about the people you're helping, and you find out a few things about yourself. Go to volunteer.gov to find out what a rush volunteering can be.
This is President George W. Bush. USA Freedom Corps has a volunteer opportunity that's just right for you. Visit volunteer.gov. When you help your neighbor, you help your nation.
welcome back to the International Radio Book Tour in progress. This is your host, Rich-Gehlhausen, and with me today is author John Nuckel. So, John, let's talk about your first book, the-vig, and we'll start with the title, the-vig. What does that mean, the-vig?
Well, the-vig is the common phrase is, I guess, in the percentage that you pay a bookie. So, the bookie always makes a vig if, he's going to make 20% no matter what, whether you win or lose. That's the vig. On the trading floors, the vig it's the cost, it's the spread, it's the difference between the bid and the offer, it's the cost to carry a position, it's, and also in the underground world, it's the tribute you have to pay to the guy who gave you the information. It's the payoff. It's the money you pay the guy on the loading dock to slip a box in the trunk of your car. That's the vig.
Well, the common theme running through your books is essentially, we're in an era of corruption. You've described it as it's such a big money era, and that's essentially that and the characters that run through your book. Let's talk about the vig. What is this book about, really?
Well, the vig really was the original idea. It's more of it's not the boardroom thievery. It's not the big mergers and acquisitions. This is really the story, a story about, the envelope that's passed in the bar out back, the little extra money that's, as I say, is put on the hip. It starts with someone who finds a way to steal like $4.87 from every single trader's brokerage account. And, it's such a small amount of money that no one ever notices, and if anyone does, they just say, "Oh, it's an error. I'll put the money back in your account." But they have 15,000 accounts, and there's 250 trading days a year, and they found a way to steal a lot of money, or a little bit of money, from a lot of people. So one of the characters, Frank, finds that this is going on, and he confronts them, and this is what makes one of the turning points of the story is he's offered, like, for example, ask the readers, the listeners, if they were offered $40,000 to look the other way about a crime that really doesn't affect anyone at all, what would you do? That's the decision, and that's where it comes into character and right and wrong, and this character, Frank, decided he took $40,000. He said, I'm tired of all this nonsense. I'm just going to take the money and I'm going to look for a new job. But of course, he gets caught doing it. And then there are bigger themes. So that's the plot. That's the mystery. But overarching all of that is, like I said, the World Trade Center coming down and the imagery of this whole area, this whole, the empire of Wall Street sort of crumbling. Frank is running from the World Trade Center, and he's basically running from throughout. He's running from himself, he's running from his past, he's running from his past irresponsible behavior. And there's another character, Carla, who's an assassin, and she has an abusive childhood. She as she gets older, she chooses to hate and chooses to be violent, whereas Frank has a bad childhood and has these problems, and he's choosing to try to just get along. And then there's Brogan, like I said, Willie Mays, batting .211. You have all these people and all these different things going on in their lives that I think it makes for a really, really compelling story, because I think you really, really care about the characters. And, I try to make the main character in this book, who is Frank, an everyday guy, a guy that you walk by today on the sidewalk, just a regular, average guy. And it's interesting to me to see how